This channel has always focused on film music and classical music. That's always been my goal. But today I want to expand a little and talk about a problem which seems to have infected all of Western music. I call it the death of melody. Bit dramatic, I know, but wait and see. Aaron Copland, the famous American composer, once said that music was made up of 4 central components: melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. But the truth is, melody on its own encompasses all the other 3 things on this list. Melody on its own can and does suggest harmony. Take these first notes of this famous Christmas hymn. Even when it's just melody on its own, the melody is clearly suggesting a harmony. You can see how the melody dances around an E minor chord, and so we might even hear E minor in our head. And what about tone color? Well, in order to sing or play any melody, we need an instrument to play it or a voice to sing it. And of course, that instrument or voice will come with its own tone color and lend that color to the melody. And rhythm? Well, melodies certainly have rhythmic characteristics. But really, any melody intrinsically has a rhythmic character, even if that rhythmic character is simply free-flowing. So melody is such a wonderful and characteristic part of music, which can, even on its own, encompass all the other building blocks that Copland says are central to music. So why then is melody dying? I used to hear so many people say this and I wanted it not to be true, but if you look closer, whether at pop, film music or classical music, the absence of melody is a huge trend. Take pop, for example. I remember clubbing to this song as a teenager.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me.
One note. Or what about the whole chorus of that One Direction song that put them on the map? It has a range spanning 3 notes. Or what if we go a little more recent? How about Taylor Swift? The verse has 3 notes.
I don't like your little game.
The lead up to the chorus has 2 notes.
But I got smarter, I got harder in the nick of time. Honey, I rose up from the dead, I do it all the time.
And the chorus itself uses no notes.
Look what you made me do, look what you made me do.
And even more recent, I heard this Billie Eilish song on the radio the other day.
White shirt, now red, my bloody nose sleeping. You're on your tippy toes.
Bear in mind that all of these songs have been massive #1 hits in at least one major country in the world, and all of them lack an interesting melody. Now, I'm in no way saying that these songs are bad songs. In fact, this week I've been finding the Eilish song incredibly catchy, perhaps because of its hypnotic repetitiousness. These songs may be good songs for other reasons, but you wouldn't describe any of them as having a strong melody. And if there is melody there, it's not used as an expressive tool. You might say, but it's not supposed to have melody. That's part of the style. That's what gives it its edge. But that's exactly my point. Melody has gone out of fashion. It's not cool to write a good melody anymore. We just want a cool beat with good tone colors. Perhaps these songs are successful because they have very little melody. And I think that's a point worth thinking about. And it's also very sad. Of course, having a melody which spans 1 to 3 notes makes it extremely easy to sing along with too. This trend of no melody has passed on to other areas of Western music too. Take film music superstar Hans Zimmer. He's actually extremely capable and extremely skilled at writing a good melody when he needs to. Take the drunken swagger of Jack Sparrow's theme. How well these notes express the character. But when you look at his more recent smash hits, say Dunkirk or Interstellar or Inception, you won't find a lot of distinctive melody in the most popular tracks of these films. Amazing tone colors, great rhythm, moving harmonies, but very little melody. And honestly, you could say that Hans Zimmer is right to do this. He is where he is because he's constantly on top of trends and on top of his business. And having an overly melodious score just wouldn't be right for these films. But then we should ask ourselves, why not? When did melody go out of fashion, and why? Compare all this with the melodies of John Williams, who wrote some of his best tunes in the 70s, 80s, 90s and noughties. Or even earlier to the golden age of cinema. We do still hear this kind of melody in film music, but it tends to be confined to mythic epics or to children's movies. The trend has even spread to modern classical music. Take a fantastic, well-loved, high-quality piece of modern classical music, The 7 Last Words from the Cross by James MacMillan. It has great harmony, such as these bars which set up the whole piece. Great tone color, such as this moment when Christ hallucinates from dehydration. And then there's this tortured, lashing, delirious rhythm of them hammering excruciating nails into the cross. If you thought Billie Eilish was edgy, maybe give this piece a listen. My point is, this work is amazing, but you wouldn't describe it as a melodious piece. It has melody, often fragments of melody, but by classical standards, it's not melodious. Maybe that's unfair, but I think that melody is not one of the principal qualities of this piece. So, what happened to melody? Well, it's very difficult to say, but I think this has been building up for some time in the trends of pop music and popular culture, and then perhaps from there, it's fed through to other kinds of music. There's an article in the Keyboard magazine that has some good thoughts on this. Pop music didn't always lack melody.
And then she asked me, do I look alright? We are the champions, my friends.
At some point, pop music discovered the power of a strong hook and how catchy a repetitive hook could be. Take Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love. Notice we call this a hook rather than a full-blown melody. It's a set of notes or rhythms which, a bit like an advertising jingle, is bite-sized and easily memorable. And I think that this idea of a catchy hook took over at some point, until songs were more and more just hook, with not much else going on. With the rise of electronic music, we were given techno, technology-driven music, and while most of this music wasn't necessarily mainstream, it reflects a real lack of melodiousness in favor of other qualities. That's an excerpt from I Wanna Be a Hippie, which reached #1 in several countries in Europe in the 90s. And this trend did eventually seep into the mainstream too. Take the rise of EDM, electronic dance music. This genre has massively explored the possibilities of sound design rather than melody in dance music, and it shows. Some of these tracks are amazing feats of sound design and catchy hooks, with little or no melody at all. And then there's the domination of rap or hip-hop, where, of course, the performer doesn't so much sing as rap, and the accompanying music is often just a beat with an endlessly repeated hook.
You ain't got a clue, let's be honest. I had a couple seasons made a forest. I put in the work and take the profit.
I'm in district in the chain.
Then there's the rise of the remix too, where they take an old, longer song and remix it. But more and more, DJs will just surgically remove 10-second or even 5-second snippets from a song and use that to form their new catchy hook, transforming it from older, more melodic music to a catchy hook with very little melody. And in fairness, that remix is more tuneful than some. Or perhaps this loss of melody even relates to the digital age of texting, tweeting, the bite-sized thought. Perhaps the public doesn't want longer streams of thought anymore. They just want something bite-sized, immediately digestible, which can both satiate and numb them immediately. It's hard to say why something would go out of fashion, but I do think that these trends and ideas in recent music history might give us some idea to why melody now seems to be one of the least engaging elements in modern music. History has often cried the death of melody, with Beethoven, with Mahler, and with the 20th century atonal movement, where melody sometimes became unfollowable. But I think this age today marks a point where melody really isn't being used as an expressive tool anymore. It still exists, as in, there are still notes that you can follow and sing along with, but it no longer has the expressive quality of the melodies of the past. And I think this is going to be the topic of my next video. What makes good melody? What does it mean to have expressive melody? And how might we save melody? I don't know if these questions have an answer, but I think we have to look at them if we want to have a better understanding of the music of the past, the present, and the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. I plan to continue making videos like this on music of all kinds. If you want to help support this channel, help me to produce more content like this, or simply buy me a coffee to say thank you, then you can visit my Patreon page and join the community. And if you enjoyed this video, then do subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.